Good morning everyone and welcome to another Talk Technical to Me. Happy Tuesday, and today with OLIGO Professional we are talking about Spotlight on Pastels. I think pastels are really underrated within our ranges in CALURA Permanent Shine Hair Colour. So I'm super excited to run through everything to do with pastels today with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam. I am one of the technical advisors for OLIGO Professional in the UK. So let's get to it. Firstly, with our pastels, they are part of our OLIGO Professional CALURA Permanent Shine Hair Colour. So we therefore get all of our benefits of our Permanent Shine Hair Colour. We have our 4 pure certified organic essences. These are designed to sort of give us that superior scalp and sort of hair comfort, as well as sort of giving the hair added benefits. We also have our amazing exothermic technology. This means that we have ammonia-free colour. It's absolutely amazing. You are guaranteed to get coverage, you are guaranteed for best results, longevity, shine, all of the above with our incredible exothermic technology. We also then have PPD and gluten-free colour, and it is never tested on animals, nor does it contain any animal-derived ingredients. When we are using our pastels, we would recommend using a 1:1 mix ratio. And essentially what these are, what I like to refer to them as, is ready-made toners, but without darkening. So they are best used on levels 9 and 10. And we can really utilise our demi-effect lotion within CALURA Permanent, or when you want that little bit more, you could use your 10 volume or your 3%. These are super fast because they are ready-made toners. We can process by eye for 3 to 10 minutes, and they last up to 24 washes. So this is something that I think is super amazing. Obviously, when we think of OLIGO Professional as a brand, CALURA Gloss wasn't designed until 2019. So up until that point, these were our go-to toners because we have our demi-effect lotion. We could turn any of our CALURA Permanent Shine hair colour, excluding our 12 Pure Blonde series, into a demi-effect colour. So our pastels were designed as pre-made toners. We could literally pick them up and use them as is without having to formulate. So another reason that they are beneficial is that we can still utilise those within our colouring today. And lastly, one of the big benefits of our pastels is that they are in a pink tube. So they are in slightly different packaging so that you don't get them sort of confused, and so that they really stand out on your colour bar as something you can really utilise day to day, which is amazing. So within our pastel shades, we have 4 options. So firstly, we have our P-1. So this is our ash. Now this is going to give us that super cool silvery tone. This is sort of like the coolest vibe. So you'll get your maximum neutralization of orange because it is 100% blue based. So if you want something super silvery, or you want something really cool, then your P1, your ash, is the best option. Then we have our P-12. This is our pearl. So this is going to give you a cool tone. It's just not going to be as cool as your ash. And this is going to give sort of that coolness because it is 70% blue and 30% violet. So we have both of those sort of colours working together to give us that really pearly softness. It's absolutely beautiful. Then we have our P-32, our beige. So this is like an instant sandy blonde tone. So this will give really balanced, natural, soft tones. And this is because we have 50% yellow within this shade. So with that 50% yellow, we are going to have that light luminosity. It's going to be soft, sandy, golden. But then we have 25% blue and 25% violet. This is just to stop any overwarmth. So the sandy beige is really, really trending right now, and I feel like the P32, the beige option within our pastel shades, is really underrated. And finally, we have our P82. So this is our champagne, and it is a slightly warmer tone than any of the other shades that we've already discussed. So this is going to give you that really warm, soft champagne, almost like that sort of really beautiful, like warm hue. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is because it contains 50% red, so it is one of the only pastels, it is the only pastel that contains red. So instantly you have more warmth. You also have 30% yellow and 20% blue. Champagne is a really, really hard tone sometimes to achieve when we are mixing multiple options, and I think the fact that this is a ready-made champagne, if your customer is after the exact sort of warm but sort of really nice soft kind of tone to their blonde, then champagne is an absolute must. So we are super lucky that we have these 4 different options, and they can obviously be mixed together should you want to sort of change up these tones as the ready-made. So if you were using your cool tone, your P12, your PAL, but you just wanted that little bit more ash in there, then you absolutely could, of course, add in some P-1 ash to your formula, and so on and so forth. So when we are using our pastels, we would always recommend that we treat these as toners. So they are always going to be used on levels 9 and 10. If you use them on darker levels, the results will be different to what you would expect. So levels 9 and 10 are best. We want to apply these on damp, towel dried, in most cases pre-lightened or natural level 9 and 10. We can process these by eye for 3 to 10 minutes. So obviously depending on how much tone you want to obviously have within the hair, if you were to leave them on nearer the 10 minutes, there's going to be a lot more tone present. The D lotion, the Demi Effect lotion within CALURA Permanent, is great for depositing slightly more on fine hair. And then our 10 Vol 3% will give more deposit all round. So if you wanted something slightly softer, you could rely on your Demi Effect lotion. If you just wanted that tiny bit more deposit, then your 10 volume or your 3% would be your best option within CALURA Permanent Shine. If you are sort of wanting to achieve more of a pastel version of pastels, then you can add up to 50% of CALURA Permanent Clear. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a softer version of each ready-made toner, or if you are working on sort of highly porous hair, it's going to really help reduce the deposit of the tone, and it's going to sort of reduce how fast that tone takes as well. So sometimes if you're just starting out with pastels, I would always recommend just adding a little bit of clear, just to slow down that tonal deposit until you get used to how they develop. If you were using on darker levels than a 9, obviously not necessarily recommended, but in some circumstances you could have lifted to a really clean level 8, and it might be something that you wish to try. You would just maybe need to extend your processing time up to 20 minutes. So just to give you that little bit more time for that tone to be able to do its thing. Again, you can process this by eye. So you may get to 15 minutes and be quite happy. It might not even take that long, but just when you're working on the darker levels than recommended, you can extend your processing time with your pastels up to 20 minutes. Another thing that is really, really great about pastels is that mixed tones can be added if you want to further neutralize or enhance a tone. So you can add up to 25% of your CALURA Permanent mixed tones within your pastels formula. When we are using our pastels, we treat them just like we do our CALURA Gloss or our CALURA Permanent toners. So there will not normally be the need to use up one of your shampoos as an after color sort of program. So saying that you've already maybe rinsed the hair after pre-lightening. You would have obviously used your moisture balance cleanser. We obviously don't colour lock before pre-toning, but we can obviously utilise our perfecting primer if we have sort of areas that we need to brush out. And then we can obviously utilise our porosity equalizer. So this can be used as well if we don't have excess brushing because the hair hasn't maybe been backcombed or manipulated during the lightening process. We could just use our porosity equalizer should we need it on those sort of more porous areas. And then to towel dried hair, we would apply our formula. So the hair has already been washed. Therefore, after our toner is complete, our Pastels toner is done, and we have reached the desired level or deposit that we would like, we can just rinse thoroughly with water, and then always we recommend that you finish with colour lock. So this can be left on for 3 to 5 minutes and massaged in, rinsed, and then you can carry on with either your cut or your styling. So what could you use Pastels for? Pastels can be great for adding soft pastel tones to blonde hair without over depositing. The clue is in the name. So they're going to give that really soft, sort of more sheer, more light sort of vibe compared to maybe something that deposits a little bit further. They can also be utilised to neutralise or even enhance a shade. So if you want to eliminate further warmth, the cooler tones are amazing. If you want to enhance that gold or enhance that more champagne warmth, they are amazing for that as well. They are really, really good at achieving that silvery kind of grey vibe that was trending a couple of years ago and hasn't quite disappeared as yet. So when we are wanting to perfect our sort of grey toning, it can be quite hard sometimes to formulate the perfect grey. With Pastels, we literally have the option of our P-1, our cool silvery tone, or we can utilize our sort of intermixing of other tones to create into that cool silvery tone a beautiful, perfect grey. You also are able to create bespoke tones from beige, which again is very in at the moment, to super cool. You also have all of the benefits of our exothermic technology and pure certified organic essences, especially after lightening. So it's going to add shine and hydration to the hair. So they are an absolute asset, and this is why I feel like they are sometimes a little bit underrated, because they are there to be used. They are ready made. You don't have to think about it. They're good to go. So when we are applying using our Pastels, we have a few tips for you. So unless your natural level is at your sort of target level, we would always recommend pre-lightening the hair to levels 9 or 10. We would always recommend applying to damp, towel dried hair because you will have better tonal control. This is obviously when using our Demi Effect lotion or our Tembol 3%. Should you apply this to dry hair, you are just going to find that that tone takes a lot quicker. So it is an option, but with Pastels, with that sheer, beautiful, glossy vibe that we're after, we would recommend that you do it on damp, towel-dried hair. Also, as a disclaimer, pre-lightened hair can be very porous. So process by eye when we are using our Pastels because they can work quite quickly. And it sort of still stands when we are toning by eye. When you think it's ready, count to 20. Just give yourself that kind of 20 more seconds, just because most of the time you will rinse it and wish that you had just given it a little bit more time. So if you think it's ready, give yourself a breather and then you can rinse and it will absolutely be perfect. As I said previously, if you wanted to reduce the sort of speed or dilute your pastel shade, you can add CALURA Permanent Shine Clear, and you can use up to half in your formula. And as I said earlier, pastels can be intermixed with one another, so they might be ready-made, but should you want to make more bespoke pastel shades for your customers, you absolutely can. So it is time for our Q&A. I have been handed some questions that I can answer for you guys. So first up, why would I choose pastels for toning? Fabulous question. So as we explained earlier, you can use pastels for specific toning needs. So obviously without depositing darker. So this can sometimes appeal to more porous hair types. This can appeal to maybe our clients who don't want anything too tonal. They don't want anything too obvious. It can also be a really nice thing to utilize when we are trying to achieve sort of more fashion-based tones, so tones that are maybe trending and are a little bit harder to formulate. They are literally pure tone, so they are just going to literally, because they have no base level essentially, they are just going to give you that hue. So they can also be used to make ready-made formulas and enhance specific tones, like you said. So sometimes it might even be that you have a customer who has gone white naturally. They might just every now and again, for a special occasion or for a change, maybe in the winter, if they feel their hair is making them feel a bit sort of drained or a bit washed out, you could just utilize pastels for that really beautiful sheer pastelized kind of tone without sort of going over the top and making anything higher maintenance for them. So there are loads of reasons why we could use pastels. Second question. What is the difference between pastels and CALURA gloss? Lovely question. So, obviously our pastels are part of our CALURA permanent range, so therefore we get all of the benefits we listed at the beginning of the webinar, which is obviously our pure certified organic essences, our sort of fact that we are ammonia free due to our exothermic technology, we are PPD free, we are gluten free, we have all of the shine, the benefits, the nutrition. So obviously we have all of the permanent shine hair color technology within our pastels, whereas CALURA gloss obviously contains our hybrid technology. So it is a different technology where we are obviously a gentle acid base buffered at an alkaline pH, and we are 100% alcohol free. So there are slightly different benefits from obviously each product. Both offer us endless tonal opportunities, and the condition of the hair is always the top priority, whether you are using CALURA permanent to tone or CALURA gloss. I think it is down to personal preference. So when you are sort of wanting more sheer results, absolutely you can go for CALURA gloss. But if you wanted something that was sort of softer, even still, then your pastels would be a fabulous choice. Great question. Okay, next question. So, can I intermix pastels with anything else? Yes, you absolutely can. So not only can you mix pastels together to create really beautiful bespoke shades, we obviously know that we can mix up to 50% of clear with our pastels for that sort of more sheer sort of look. We can also add up to 25% of mixed tones within our CALURA permanent to really enhance or sort of really give that sort of tonal deposit a little bit further, even to neutralize as well. They work really, really beautifully mixed in with our pastels. And we can also actually mix our pastels in with our CALURA permanent shine hair color shades. Now, the only thing that you have to bear in mind when you want to do this is that obviously our pastels don't contain any base. So if you were mixing in levels 9 and 10 within CALURA permanent shine hair color, we are only processing for sort of 3 to 10 minutes. So the processing time is a lot less than what they would need ideally to deposit further, but they can be a really nice addition for sort of more tonal balance, or if you did want that little bit more deposit. The only things that we would recommend that you do not mix your pastels with is our 12 Pure Blonde series, obviously because they are a completely different mix ratio and sort of what we will achieve with those is completely different. And also our CALURA gloss. So we still need to remember that our pastels are part of our CALURA permanent shine hair color. So we need to use the developers within our CALURA permanent shine, and we obviously cannot intermix CALURA permanent with CALURA gloss. Great question. Next up, could I process the pastels for longer if I want more tonal deposit? So this is a great question because pastels are obviously designed to be that more sheer, to give that less tonal deposit. So we would always recommend processing for 3 to 10 minutes by eye. However, if you wanted more tonal deposit, of course you can. You can process them for that little bit longer. As I explained earlier, it's kind of always one of those things that you really, because we are toning by eye, a lot of the time we want to rinse things off early because they look a little bit scary or a little bit more toned than they probably are when we rinse and dry them. So the general rule I always tell myself is just give it that tiny bit longer than when you're ready to rinse. But if you wanted to process for a tiny bit longer, it is absolutely your decision. Great question. Next up, could I use pastels to tone my client's hair so that it appears grey? Absolutely. This is what they are great for, and I love to do this. So as long as you have got the lift, as long as you have lifted to a level 9 or a level 10, ideally with a grey we need like a super clean level 10. I literally love to mix P1, so like our really cool silvery ash, and depending on my lift, sometimes I will also then add in some P-12 just to give that extra cool tone, but kind of that really nice grey silvery vibe. And depending on how much sort of grey or silver you require, you can then add in some clear should you need to. So yes, you can absolutely use them to create perfect custom grey toners for your customers. Next up, last question. What were pastels developed for? This is a great question because I have briefly covered it, but obviously as a brand, Oligo Professional were sort of manufacturing CALURA Permanent Shine Hair Colour a lot longer before they then developed CALURA Gloss. So CALURA Gloss as a range wasn't introduced until 2019. So up until that point, we obviously were using our CALURA Permanent Shine Hair Colour to tone our customers' hair with our Demi Effect Lotion, or in some circumstances, our 10 volume 3%. So pastels were obviously people's go-to for instant toners. This meant that they were ready to go and that we could do everything that they sort of needed from something like CALURA Gloss, but within our CALURA Permanent. So it's been a really, really nice transition over to our CALURA Gloss. We wouldn't be without it. But the pastels unfortunately have been a little bit forgotten about. So it's really, really nice to be able to cover them today and hopefully get you more excited to use them. So thank you for your great questions. As always, education is the heart of everything we do here at Oligo Professional. We empower our team and the hairdressing community with technical, creative, and professional training. This is always tailored for stylists at all levels. We also have multiple ways that you can learn. So we have our online courses where you can learn on the go in your own time. We have our weekly or bi-weekly webinars where we get to sort of talk you through some of the theory and the more technical aspects if that's kind of something you prefer to reading. We also have our stylist blog series. This is where we go into the ins and outs, tips and tricks of all of the offerings we have here at Oligo Professional. We also have our in-person studio courses. These are held by our technical advisors at Outward Salon Studios in Exeter, and this is where you can come and learn the ins and outs of Oligo Professional, but also learn techniques as well. So sort of trending techniques and sort of tips and tricks and formula ideas that you can take back to the salon with you. And finally, we have our demo lounges. These can be hosted either in your salon, you can host these, or there may be one running near you. And these are a great chance to sort of learn that little bit, dip your toe in with Oligo, see what they offer and how you can utilize it within your salon before then attending one of our other options to learn more. Once again, thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday. I will very much look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.